that there's a trajectory to all of human history. We start in the garden, right? We start at the very beginning, no civilization, no buildings, nothing. But where does history end? You look forward at the book of Revelation, there's a new Jerusalem, there's a new heavens and a new earth, that we're going from garden to city. Good morning and welcome to Life in the Markets. My name is Tim Russell, and today I'm going to be bringing you the first of a two-part series to discuss the idea of, I think, the incipient idea of maybe my next book. I've really been wrestling with this idea for a while, and I'd like to spitball it with you for a little bit. So it's a little different than our normal market discussion, but it's foundational to the entire endeavor of following the markets and investing in general. You see, I have my Bible in front of me, and what I'd like to talk to you about is the biblical call to invest. The process of investing, I think many of us think is something that you do only if you have money or if you're rich. And I would like for us to redefine the word invest. I would like for us to reimagine what we're actually called to do. Is investing ultimately about increasing your personal net worth and making it possible for you to retire? That is absolutely part of what investing is about, but you might be surprised to learn that's not exactly the primary reason we invest. So why is it that we invest, Tim? If it's not primarily to be able to retire comfortably and to save up and prepare for the future, it is those things. But if it's not primarily that, what is it? Well, go back with me to the very, very beginning. In the book of Genesis, we read the story of creation. God made the world. It was formless and empty, and he spoke, and there was light, and there was land, and there was plants and creatures, and all of these wonderful and lovely things, and he made it good, and he made it good, and he made it good. On the sixth day, you know the story just as well as I do, God made man out of the dust of the ground, and he said it was very good. All of his creation is now done. He made a wonderful world. It was a perfect world. He now had man in it. In fact, one thing that I think is really interesting, before he made man, God looked at the world he created. And if we look at Genesis chapter 2, verse 5, it says this: when no bush of the field was yet in the land, and no plant was in the field, had yet sprung up, for the Lord had not caused it to rain on the land. And, listen to this next phrase, and there was no man to work the ground. So he gets up to day 5, and in day 5, he says, hey, everything's looking really good, but there's no man to work the ground. That's why in day 6, he creates man. And he says, going back into chapter 1, verse 28, he says, and God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply and fill the world, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion over the fish of the sea and the birds of the heavens and over every living creature that moves on the earth. God worked, and he worked hard, and he created this beautiful world, and it needed a caretaker. It needed man. And he creates man, and he blesses man, and he calls man to be fruitful, to multiply, to spread, to have dominion, to rule over this world. Interesting. Then, a little later, just a few verses later, now we're in chapter 2, we're looking at verse 15, the Lord says this in relation to his charge to mankind, have dominion over everything. He says this: the Lord took man and put him in the garden to work it and to keep it. Now, those words right there, to work and to keep, different versions have different different ways that they phrase that. Some versions say to cultivate and to care for. I personally prefer that phrase, to cultivate and to care for. The idea of to work the land obviously implies removing trees and plants that might be in the way, to create tillable land, to be able to plant fruits and vegetables, to be able to work the land, to produce food, to provide for mankind. And as you dig a little deeper into what that word to work means, again, the word to cultivate helps us to see a little bit more. We're now talking about reshaping the land. We're talking about bringing out of the land some of that raw creative potential that God placed in the world. You see, this is the thing about creation. God made the world perfect, but it wasn't complete. In fact, he put man on the world to help co-create with him, to build a world with him. He called mankind to work the land, to cultivate the world, to help build culture and civilization. We see throughout the rest of the book of Genesis the development of human civilization, the development of culture, the ways in which mankind has, in both good and bad ways, applied its responsibility to develop and to build the world. And you'll notice that the word to work has a modifying word. It's to work. It's not really modifying, but it's a word that kind of helps modify our understanding of it. It's to work it, to cultivate it, to build and develop, but also to keep it, to care for it, to make sure that we don't abuse and destroy and mar creation. So you see, there is a call for mankind to work and develop and to make all of the good, beautiful potential come out of the earth, but also to do it in a way that doesn't destroy or mar the beauty of God's creation. But you'll also notice, if I could just at this point remind you that there's a trajectory to all of human history. We start in the garden, right? We start at the very beginning, no civilization, no buildings, nothing. But where does history end? You look forward at the book of Revelation, there's a new Jerusalem, there's a new heavens and a new earth, that we're going from garden to city. And it's not like the cities of, Chicago or Philadelphia or New York City. We're not talking about dirt-ridden, concrete, ugly, scary blocks of yuck. We're talking about the most beautiful, symbiotic connection between the creation of man and the creation of God, living in harmony together in a beautiful, creative way. That's, I think, what God is calling the world into. He's got us on a trajectory from the garden to the city. So we're not here just to not develop. We're not here just to save the toads and to save the whatever from building. We need to build and develop, but we need to build and develop in ways that accentuate the beauty of creation rather than mar it. We need to have beautiful buildings and beautiful constructions and beautiful landscapes. All of these things matter to God, and that's why he made man. We are called to care for this world in a way that develops its resources for the flourishing of mankind and the glory of God. There is, for this reason, a biblical, I argue, command for us to invest. We must invest. We can't cultivate the world effectively without business and commerce. It requires capital and investment in organizations and businesses to help unlock the resources in creation for human flourishing and the glory of God. In fact, I would argue you and I have a very significant part to play in all of that through our worldly endeavors, through our work, through our secular jobs as we go about the world doing the things that God is calling us to do to promote human flourishing. which means we need to invest in the kinds of companies and organizations. We need to build the kind of companies and organizations, starting maybe the right companies and organizations that will do this kind of really good, God-blessed, God-called, God-required work. And brothers and sisters, that is why I love being a Christian financial advisor. That's why I love being a Christian who helps take God's capital and use it to promote the good of mankind and the glory of God. So I'm going to pause for now, wrap up today's video. In next week's video, I want to explore a little bit more about how do we do that? What does that look like? And what do we do at the Life Financial Group to help make that possible? How do we fulfill the call to invest in a way that glorifies God? Until next time, take care, God bless, and be safe in the markets.
The topics discussed in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific investment advice or recommendations. Investing and investment strategies involve risk, including the potential loss of principal. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. All information herein is from sources believed reliable, but is not guaranteed for accuracy or completeness. The team assumes no liability for any errors, omissions, or actions taken based on this material. Information is as of the date stated and subject to change without notice. Securities and advisory services offered through Genius Wealth Management, member FINRA and SIPC.